Hello all you people out there in TV land. My name is CB Studios, also known as Kurt, and today, a little bit of a different one for you. We've got a build video on how I throw a bunch of electronics in my Star Wars Holiday Special lightsaber. Ah yeah! I have not done a build video before, so in the vein of never doing things properly, I did not film an intro for this, so this is my intro. I have already finished this project. It did work quite well, so the video is going to be not so much a tutorial, but a little bit of an overview of how I got from my original build-up on this, a little bit of time in the workshop, and then getting to the finished product. Let's check it out. Welcome to the workshop. This is where I like to do all my sculpting and casting and molding. And this is where we're going to tear down my Graflite and also my interior chamber for this project. We're going to have a look and see where I can fit stuff in, how I'm going to have to build things. I've already got an idea on some dimensions that I want for my emitter. I want it to be 40 millimeters deep for my blade socket, a little 5 millimeter wall, and then a 25 millimeter end cap for this, which is going to sit around this and hold the blade end, the lens end in place. Should be able to make it fit. It's a smaller diameter than my Graflite is, and it's a shorter length. So we're going to pull things apart and have a look and see what we've got. Here. Well, not rough, they're fairly precise, which is excellent. The main ones that I need to pay attention to are going to be the diameter of the tube. Now it is two different diameters. There's a thicker end at this end, the plug end, and then the socket end is a thinner wall, which is fine because that's going to be a separate emitter piece through here. I was going to try and keep as much of the original camera internals as possible. I may end up reusing some of this as a blade plug. As I wanted to be able to swap this back to original condition, as it is technically a vintage camera flash, but we'd already machined down this end cap. It was originally an over end cap, or a female end cap. It went over a screw section or a threaded section at the end here, but it has been machined down to work as a plug through that. So that's fine, I can do that. I've got some dimensions here now of both the inside area of this plug, which I think I'm going to use as a mounting section for the speaker end of this. It'll have to be machined out to act as a socket, which is okay, we can do that, that's no worries. And then it's going to have to be vented for sound, which means that the grip area I'm going to have to drill some holes so that's vented for sound as well. I should be able to get my 40mm depth blade socket in here, and then our 5mm wall is a blade stop, and then we'll have the lens should sit right about where these windows end, which will be really nice. I will try and keep, there is a really slight lip on the end of this, which is our existing flash socket, which sits flush. It's about 3 millimeters, I think. It's 2.6, so we'll round that up to 3. My ultimate aim is to have this plug up into my aluminium emitter section and have the plug here in the end hold this in place. And I'll put a couple of little maybe M2 or M3 screws that will screw this end cap in place, and that'll hold all of that, all of these internals, which will be really cool. One thing I will have to do is probably desolder this switch and this power socket. I will be rebuilding the control box that I've got built here, and I'll have, instead of this little knurled section, it's going to have my power button and my socket through that. I think that'll look really cool. It does mean I'm going to have to drill a hole to run some wires through this tube. One of the really nice things is we do have a bunch of holes up on top here from various screws and accoutrements, so I can use those to secure my socket in place, and I've got a couple of areas that I can sink a tapped hole through, and then a thumb screw as a blade retention, so awesome, that'll be really good. I will still reuse these pieces So I really like this. I am gonna lose my clicky button. The red button was actually clicky originally, which was super nice, but that's fine. We'll keep it there. We'll have that all mounted so it'll look as it originally did. Other than that, I think we're ready. I'm gonna take these measurements away. I'm gonna draw up some designs. I'm gonna use PowerPoint because I'm a pleb, but I can draw a mock-up of this lightsaber and work out my exact measurements for all of my pieces. Then I can get my pieces machined. I won't be the one machining my pieces. I'm gonna get my dad to do that because he has access to a really big gnarly lathe, and that's gonna be really nice. And then I think the next step is gonna be drilling some holes and fitting things, and then probably assembly. So that's gonna be really cool. I did want to touch on electronics just briefly for this project, as I have an okay amount of electronics experience, but we're talking like soldering and wiring up LEDs and all that sort of stuff, not this. I have done some conversion kits on Force FX lightsabers before, and they've turned out fantastically, but this is going to be, this is going to be a little bit more complicated than that, so I took the easy way out. Last year for my birthday I got this. It's a Sabre Kit. Now, this Sabre Kit is a Eco Swing, I believe. It's an electronics set. It's all self-contained. Now, this is, it's got your soundboard, it's got your speaker, it's got your battery, your accelerometers and everything to make the fwing. It's got an LED. It's USB chargeable with a barrel plug on that. Comes with your barrel plug and some little mounting screws and some information cards, and it's in a nice little box. So that's cool. And it says Sabre Kit. Am I going to do any huge modifications to this? No, I just want to use it straight in there. There's a couple of reasons I want to use this, and I'm going to show you in a second. It's got this nice little button. You press the power on, which is cool. It's got this nice glowy red light, and I think we're on red at the moment. It's probably going to blow out my camera lens, and it's going to be really loud. This thing's got a huge amount of volume. It's blue. Blade lock up, and if we put just a blade onto it, ooh, the lid's really nice. 7 different sound fonts on it. The reason that I love this is it's RGB. You can change it to whatever color you want. And let's go red. White, yellow. Well, we're purple now. You press and hold the button. It does blade lock up in different colors. But if you press and hold the button, got some sound quotes too. Let's go green. We'll go to the green on this, if it'll let me go green. Yeah. So this will allow me to keep a bunch of different colors with my lightsaber, without all the hard work of changing LEDs out. Really versatile little kit, fairly cheap as well. I think they're about 90 bucks. I got this from, or this was bought for me from Oz Sabers here in Queensland, Australia. You should be able to grab them from pretty much any sabersmith. I think they are fairly common, but this is going to work perfectly for what I want to use. So. It's been a couple of days. I have gone off and done up my designs for my lightsaber pieces, the stuff that I need machined. So I need my emitter piece machined, and I need my end cap machined down as well. I have done up actual measurements for that, the specifics that I need, but those are all off in the hands of my dad to do the machining. What I do want to do is I want to do something about the control box here. This is a solid epoxy cast resin piece. In fact, if you hold on a second, I can show you the mold for this. This is the mold. This is the mold that I used for that. And as you can see, it's really nice. It's got the curvature of the saber hilt, or at least fairly close to it, in the pocket. And it's a 2-part. It snaps together like that. Pops in. You've got 4 vent holes for the corners and a ball spout in the middle. Really cool thing about that is it makes it really nice and solid. Downside is it's really nice and solid.
There's no way for me to put electronics in this, and I want to put this soundboard, or this power board in, which I'll pop apart and I'll show you. I'll give a look at what we're working with that. I want to put that in this Sabre, but it's not going to fit. So how am I going to do that? I got onto the internet and I did some searching for project boxes, and I found these, tiny little Hammond project boxes. The measurements for this, I think it's 63 millimeters long, 35 millimeters wide, and is about 15 millimeters tall. 60 by 35 by 20, and honestly, that's gonna be pretty good. I'm happy with that. These are a nice little cast ABS project box. They are Hammond 1551, 1551H, because I can carve it down to match the curvature of the lightsaber so that it gets this really nice sort of arch to it. It'll sit well on there. And the inside, I'll drill some holes and put some standoffs, and we're gonna pop this internal section, this little soundboard, or this power board, in and mount that. And that should look really cool. I will still have to drill a hole in the hilt, but I think that's gonna work right now. Cool. That is a really nice fit. This isn't perfect. Now you can see, oh, my LED just fell out there. You can see there's a little bit of a gap around this big center button here. This is why I got a couple of these, because these are cheap, and I wasn't 100% sure if this was going to work right. You can see there, the circuit board's actually going to be flush with the surface, which means that I'm going to have to cut out an area in this body, the body of this this Graflex, because this is just a solid tube. So I don't want to do that. I may have to get some shorter standoffs, but if I do shorter standoffs, then I've got a higher profile on the surface, which is also not ideal, because I kind of want that button to be flush. Watch me put a bunch of stress on the wires. If we press the button, yeah, it's still good. So that is an excellent start. I'm very happy with how that fits. Very happy with how that looks as well. While it's not super accurate to the holiday special, this thing's not super accurate to anything else. So fuck it, I guess. I think that's about it. I'm gonna go ahead and pull off this control box over the next day or two and start toying around with shaping. What I might do is I might use that existing one, or that one that I've just machined and drilled up. I might use that as my test to see how I can get everything sit and see whether I can get it seated the way that I would like. I'm gonna pull the grips off as well, because they are not oriented quite the way that I would like. I can make those a little bit better. And I'm gonna do the same thing with my little 3, wherever it went. Oh, it's still in there. My M3 tap for 2 screws that'll go into the base here, or into the end here, and they're going to be threaded through the wall of this tube, and then threaded into the end cap plug. That's gonna hold everything in place. It'll be 2 little Phillips head button screws. We'll go through with that. And that'll look really, really nice. That should give it a really finished look, but also hold everything together really nicely. I am gonna have to drill some holes in this tube to vent for sound as well. So it's gonna be many, many holes in this piece of aluminium. I guess that's about all I can do for today, but I'm very happy with that. I think that has turned out really, really nicely. Should be excellent.
It is the next day. I've done some tinkering with my control box setup, as I wasn't happy with how I drilled my holes in the underside. Originally, the holes you saw me drill and tap were the base of this box. Now they are the lid of the box. I've done this for a couple of reasons. It allows me to have the control box permanently mounted to the Graflite, but still have access to my electronics, to my
power button and my recharge port. It also allows me to have them permanently mounted in place, but still give access to the internals. You'll also see I've removed the grips off the Graflite. I have got them stored on a strip of wax paper so I can reuse those. What I need to do now is I need to attach this control board into this plate, and I need to add some connections in so that I can remove this top plate and have it completely separate to do work. So I waited for Jeff Bean Soups to deliver me some little JST connectors, and I'm going to solder these into place. So we're going to do a little bit of time lapse. You're going to see me attach these, and we're going to attach the control plate into the lid. And we'll get our first look at the Graflite with all of the electronic buttons and shit attached in.
So now we test and see whether this is actually going to work. Will it? Won't it? Well, let's assemble and find out.
So my main idea, I may have to hog this material out a little bit. I don't think these are going to really hide back in this casing too well, but we will see. Now, bear in mind I don't have the emitter or anything in here, so this electronics is just going to sit sort of loose in the hilt. We've got my finished soldered control board, which I'm very proud of. That looks really nice. And we've got the other JST connectors. Just got to connect them the correct way around. Jam that crap back into the hilt, and you know what, just for funsies, we're just going to get them in wherever we can. Now I've made the decision to have the main button higher up on my control board because I feel like that looks just a little bit cooler. Well, it's a tight fit with the plastic the way that it is, but oh, that's satisfying. Okay. Now comes the moment of truth. We're going to test this and see how we go. Let's give it a go.
Power up.
Oh, that's a good start. Power on. Now I'm wondering whether I should make these lights, these windows light through. That's cool. We are back. I now have my pieces. So this is my emitter. It has the correct boring down there. You can see the nice little blade stub at the end. And we have my end cap, which has a very pretty little lip in the bottom of that. And, oh, it's such a satisfying fit. So that is excellent. While we are at this stage, I need to drill and tap a couple of holes. So there's going to be one up in the top here that's going to have a little 3mm bolt through it. And I've got these ones down here that I want to have little 3mm bolts through as well, and that'll hold my end cap in place. At that point, I can mount my electronics into it, which also, perfect fit. It's a nice and tight fit, which is excellent. So that's going to clamp all my electronics inside my lightsaber. It's going to be really nice. I think that's going to work very, very well. Then you can do some black vinyl and this will form the wrap that originally was gaffer tape, but I think black vinyl is going to look a little bit more polished. And I've got a couple of little arrow decals that need to go up underneath one of these windows. I think it's these ones. I don't quite know. I'm going to throw this into time lapse. I'm going to give you a look down onto the bench, and I'm going to do a bunch of drilling and tapping to mount these pieces in. We're really close. Really close. Alright, so we are drilled and tapped. I've drilled and tapped my screw for the emitter, so that'll hold the emitter in. I will eventually drill and tap a screw through here, a thumb screw, that will be my blade retention screw. It's not a huge issue at the moment, as the blade is a very tight fit through this. So my overall idea, and I have done some test fits, so I know that this is going to work, is my chassis is going to be attached, just pressure fit, into the end cap here. And we'll basically just slide the entire length of the Sabre down. It'll get seated into the end there. Everything's going to hold in place. And the two screws you saw me drilling and tapping for this end cap here, they will be the main mounting points that will stop the end cap from sliding out and anything from rotating around. I think that'll work really well. I have lined up if you look straight down, I've lined up the Graflex text on the end cap here. There we go. I've lined that up to work perfectly with that, so that everything just looks nice and square. And so this is going to have to go in on a 90-degree angle. So come with me as we assemble and see how we go. I've had to hog out, there was a section here that originally had the couple of mounting holes. I had to hog that out entirely so that I've got a little bit more access to the internal space in here. While this is a much larger diameter, once I added these JST connectors on, I lost a lot of space. It got very, very cramped in there. And if you can see, just in the bottom there's actually a cardboard sleeve on the inside of this Sabre. And that's the original, I guess, insulation for the batteries. And I wanted to keep that just so if anything does happen to be just a little bit loose, or my soldering just isn't the best, there's less chance of shorting everything out on the side of this Sabre. So, grab those up and through. Oh, that is satisfying. That is really satisfying. So, we line everything up. Now these are not super necessary with this. I feel like I'm not really going to have too much of an issue of shit sliding. But we will see how we'll see how that goes. That's really tasty. I did manage to strip this one a little bit because I'm a moron. So eventually I'll put a little bit of putty or something in there just to hold that thread. It still threads at the bottom. So that's where we're at. That's looking pretty good. My favorite thing is the JST connectors do exactly what I wanted to with this. They help me slide everything in and out really easily, and I don't have to worry about putting too much stress on the electronics. Everything gets hidden. And still a little bit of a tight fit, but I'd rather a tight fit than a loose fit with this. And now, the moment of truth. Keep grabbing the wrong screwdrivers. Now, I did do some test fits of this. and played around with the electronics just a little bit, I was originally thinking, oh god, I'm gonna have to drill some sound venting holes in between the grips, which are not on yet, obviously. Turns out it's actually, I don't know if that's suited well anyway, but we'll take that off in a second. No, it's gonna bug me. It turns out that it actually vents really loudly through this control box, so having a not entirely sealed on control box has worked really well in my favor. Which I think, personally, is pretty fucking cool. I'd say, oh no, I'll get demonetized, but joke's on you, I'm never gonna get monetized. I will swear all I want. It's interesting that even though this box is designed to set together really well, it's a very particular piece. It does not want to pop in every way. Alright. Power on.
Power on.
Okay. Oh, it's stuck on red. I would say that's a pretty successful test. Now that that's done, we're going to put some grips back on. That is a holiday special. That's so good. Now, there's a couple other little bits and pieces that will need to be done with this, but I'm gonna call that done for the most part. This is just double-sided taped on. Eventually, I will have to get a very tiny tap and tap for the two screws, the factory screws, to go into there. There's a couple other little screw holes that need some doing, and this control box needs some silver detailing some chrome decals. But you know what? For the most part, I'm going to call this done. I'm really happy with this. The only thing left to do is show you how it all looks. So let's go check it out. There you go, folks. That's my FX holiday special Sabre. I'm really, really pleased with how this turned out. Once again, a really dumb prop, but a great opportunity to have some fun with it. The electronics build, or at least the work that I got to do on the electronics, was a really rewarding experience. And I always love recruiting my dad's help for doing interesting projects like this. I couldn't have done this without the machining help that he has provided. I'm incredibly stoked to own a Force of X holiday special. Thank you so much for watching. If you have watched the whole thing, this is my first time doing a build video, and while I watch a bunch of them online, it's never been something that I've ever considered. So doing something like this has been a little bit interesting, and hopefully it makes sense by the end of it. Please give me a subscribe. I'd love to have more subscribers. I want to be able to change my URL for this channel. Tell me your favorite lightsaber hilt down in the comment. Could be the holiday special. You might like the prequels ones like I do. You might like the original trilogy. Hell, Kylo Ren's might be your favorite. Thanks very much, guys. Have a good one.